coming. Hey, thanks everybody for coming in. We're going to give folks like one more minute. Welcome. We've got some special guests kicking off the new year, right? It's awesome. Hey, and there was a report around this topic as well. Is that correct?
This was involved in a report that we've released recently, the 2026 Fundraising Outlook Report. Yeah, so there's some great stuff in there. Yep.
Good. Awesome. Yeah, I think this is good. Really great conversation to have. And then folks, if you're coming for the first time, it's great to meet you. We got a nice chat feature where you can throw in some questions, do us a favor and introduce yourselves to each other with your LinkedIn profile. We love that folks can connect. Okay, cool. Yeah, Sandy's got our LinkedIn profiles up there. Yeah. Hey, Becky, what's up? Yeah, everybody, do us a favor. Hey, Debbie, good to see you. Sandy's going to pop up a couple poll questions along the way as well. But yeah, we created a situation where folks share their LinkedIn profiles in the chat and connect with each other.
That's awesome.
I love that idea. That's
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I don't know who came up with that idea. I don't think it was us. Maybe we piggybacked on someone doing something, or maybe we were just, we had a couple. Have you all met Impact Circle? Oh, they came to Raise. You did meet them, Mario and Randy. I think they came on because we were just like such huge proponents of LinkedIn. And their business is predicated on folks finding corporate sponsors,
right,
and partnerships on LinkedIn. And I think they came on and were just like, well, why wouldn't we just share our LinkedIn profiles? Everyone do it or something like that. I think that's what the emphasis was for it. Yeah. So super cool. Hey, everybody, real quick, we've got an awesome episode. Event Ambassador Fundraising. Wow, I love it. I think it's really, really cool. It can go into a bunch of different avenues that I'm excited to go into with you all. We've got some very special guests, Steve and Emily. I'm going to let them introduce themselves from One Cause, a Bonterra company. And we're just so thankful that everyone showed up today. We're going to be here for an hour, stay till the end and win. We're going to give away $1,000 in HGA bucks. Sandy just put up the giveaway. Text WIN to 73747. And we'll go ahead and give away $1,000 in HGA bucks at the end of the webinar in an hour's time. And my name is Trevor Nelson. I'm the Chief Gratitude Officer at HGA Fundraising. This is the HGA webinar series. Also the host of Hey Nonprofits. HGA Fundraising is the company that powers this program and the Hey Nonprofits podcast. And HGA Fundraising provides the most profitable auction items in fundraising. We also have the greatest relationships in fundraising, and today is no different. So can't thank Emily and Steve enough for coming on to talk about this. Do us a favor, Emily, will you get us kicked off? Please, you'll do a better job of introducing yourself and what you do than I will, and then we'll let Steve do it as well. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Trevor. I'm Emily Newberry, and I head up strategic accounts at One Cause, so now a Bonterra company, and with that, with Donor Drive as well. And really what that means is myself and my team, we talk to large sometimes national organizations all of the time and try to figure out what it is they need from their technology providers, and then go and try to build something that's going to solve for those. So making sure that nonprofits have what they need in order to execute on the really large asks, right? And fundraising amounts that they need to power their programs and support the communities in which they're trying to serve. So I've been with One Cause for, it'll be 15 years in 1 month, which is insane to think about. Awesome. Like, where did the time go? But really proud to be here. I started my career in the fundraising space, so I've been here a really long time, and excited to talk about ambassador fundraising, something I am super passionate about.
Oh, cool.
I'll kick it over to Steve.
I'm just sitting here amazed at 15 years. I mean, I'm like this close to 9, and I'm like, I'm nothing. That's awesome. Yeah, 9 years in the space. Hey, everyone, Steve Lausch. I serve in product marketing at One Cause, and my favorite part of that, believe it or not, is not just like, marketing what we do, but it's talking to customers, and it's learning the problems that you're trying to solve and the challenges you're trying to face, and even down to how you talk about it is super interesting to me. And so you're gonna hear today a conversation that's really come out of, it's the fruit of many customer conversations around how to get more from your events. And so that's my product marketer kind of coming out there. You'll see it later in the call, but 9 years with One Cause, about 15 in product marketing, and I won't go back before that. Nobody needs to go there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thanks so much. Lovely for everyone to get to know you. I've gotten to get to know you all as well at Raise and what have you, and just tickled to have you on. Every time we have anyone from your organization come on, it's awesome. And I was just talking about how, had Sarah on last year, and it's like, oh, that was one of the greatest webinars I've ever seen.
She's awesome.
So y'all nail it. Y'all nail it from an information perspective, and like you said, just listening. Constantly listening, constantly, willing to apply and change and things. And so I want to get into, for the audience, event ambassador, fundraising, event ambassadors in general. Give us like a 30,000 foot view of what that means to you all, and what, hopefully it means to the audience as well.
Go ahead, Steve. Do you want to give an overview, and then I will fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, cool. What is an event?
I can kick us off on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great to back up even a little bit, Trevor, and just so we're all aligned on what we're talking about when we say ambassador, because some of the questions that we'll get or some of the comments that we'll field from nonprofits, they have this one thing in mind, and it's not a bad thing, but it's a very narrow definition. So in general, right, an ambassador is going to be someone that is raising awareness for your organization. It's someone often that influences fundraising. They're leveraging their personal network. They're putting the word out on your mission. They're making sure that your campaigns are seen. Maybe it's someone in the news that is telling your story, or much more democratized on social media. But they are doing everything from soliciting donations, getting the word out. They are that trusted human face to say, hey, all you people who haven't heard about this nonprofit, you need to sit up. There's some good things going on over there. So reaching those new audiences. But Emily, anything to add on that maybe I'm missing?
Yeah, I mean, it's really simple. Ambassadors are advocates for your organization. And I think organizations that are like, well, what's ambassador fundraising? I can't do this because I don't have ambassadors. Like, every organization has ambassadors. These are the people that have been supporting your organization, are tied to the impact that your organization is able to give, right? And then a lot of times, because sometimes they've been impacted themselves, or they know people that have been impacted, or they've been directly involved in that, they can turn what is like a statement, an impact statement, into a personal story, helping to make the connections between what the organization is doing and what it sets out to do with the funds that they're raising to practical, right, things that are happening because of that organization. And so everywhere that you have them, a lot of people are like, I can't do this. I don't know what it is, and I don't have them. You have them. We'll define maybe who's like some popular or easy to find types of ambassadors, but it's really simple. It's anybody who is advocating for your organization.
And I think we can go ahead and it's probably best just to who are these people? And we're going to say, we're going to use these terms in plurality, Trevor, right? We're going to talk about not just who is your ambassador, but who are your ambassadors. And I want to challenge us all today to think in terms of people that are right under our noses. So board members. If you go back to that statement that these are people who leverage their influence in their personal networks to drive results for your nonprofit. And in terms of what we're talking about today with event ambassador fundraising, let's be more specific. They're going to leverage their personal networks to impact your event results. So of course, board members, but think about events. We were in the green room, Trevor, and you were talking about table captains and table hosts. Sure. Those are ambassadors. They are bringing people, the right people, to your event. Hopefully, honorees that might take place, get a little bit of the spotlight or limelight of your event, can serve as your ambassadors. I don't want to miss any volunteers. Volunteers were like, oh, they're too busy doing this, and that. Let's pull back and let's look at the holistic view of an event. Even from the planning stages, They are leveraging their influence. They are using their personal networks. They are going to impact the success of your event. So I think right off the bat, the real challenge for all of us is to say, I'm no longer thinking of just a celebrity. I'm thinking of all of these people. And the question is how I can leverage them better.
Yeah. Yeah. I also feel like I'm calling outside the lines a little bit, but it's like I also feel like events can be such a great way to identify potential ambassadors. I see Emily nodding. Speak to that a little bit, Emily, and whatnot, and what you learned with that. Yeah,
right. And this is a great kind of segue into like the types of ambassador campaigns, because you can have something that is very structured, almost competitive in nature. Yeah. Think about some of the largest organizations that are running, some of those very competitive, of the year campaigns or the champion campaigns, Dancing with the Stars types of events. That's one type of ambassador fundraising, but the other is that sometimes you need to track influence. You've done all of the work to put together your board and maybe your event committees, and you meet and you have all of the meetings and all of the roles and responsibilities, and they are going out and they are working within the communities and in their professional and personal networks, and they're bringing those things to you. That is the role, right, that they serve. Is that part of it is like bringing some of those fundraising dollars into the events, as well as the advisory part of the job. What we're lacking in this space are great tools to track that influence. So it's like, hey, I think you're doing really well. And by all means, you're saying you're doing really well and you're bringing this, that, and the other thing to the table. But we need to see that as an organization. We need to bring awareness and visibility to the organizational leadership, the event leaders, but also it's encouraging and it's motivating for a board or a committee member to see their impact as well. It's monetized, it's tracked somewhere, right? And so that's helpful to be able to see that in a platform. And that's really, all of this was missing in our space, and why we sought out to build ambassador fundraising the way that we did, because it's as easy as tracking influence. And so maybe right now as an organization, you're working with your board, you're working with your committees, and there are, specific goals and targets that you want them hit. Like, some organizations have like what we call give gets. It's like, hey, to be on the board, you have to, give this and or get that, right? And so that's something. And this is a way to track that. But this is really easy. But what it does is then it's kind of building that funnel for you. It's building this really great list of advocates, and you can see the direct and indirect value that they're bringing to your organization or the event. And so if you wanted to do something more formal later on, do a competitive type of program or do sort of like an honoree type of program, now you've got the data that tells you who is in your pipeline and who is best suited for that type of role. So it's about visibility and awareness as much as it is fundraising.
I love
it. And that visibility, I'll just jump in on this one thought, that visibility starts even from previous events, right? Trevor, if through fundraising software, we can, Trevor showed up for the first time, 2 events in a row. Lo and behold, 3 events in a row. And the second and third time, he did not come with the table captain. He volunteered and paid his ticket, and so you're seeing this engagement grow and grow and grow. By golly, Trevor Nelson might be a good opportunity for us to have a coffee with, see what kind of interest there may be. Perhaps, in fact, there are opportunities with his network. He has leverage or influence to leverage across his network to help build the mission. So I just want to go back, kind of circle back to your original question there about finding people. To Emily's point, it's the visibility. It's the data that's going to help a fundraiser do that effectively.
Yeah, it's such a huge piece, just getting lost in the data from an event. We'll get more myopic on events specifically and what have you. Is there a functionality in your software right now? Pardon me. Is there a functionality that will like identify potential event ambassadors or just ambassadors in general? Or are you training folks? Like that's a great example of, because you're not, with the data, you're not getting personality subsets and what have you, right? And I want to get into that too, and like what the perfect ambassador looks like.
Yeah.
That's a loaded question, but talk about that.
It's a great question, but the solution right now is tracking both direct and indirect sort of like activity related to the event. So the data is there. You can go in and you can see all of that in reports. What we educate on though, and sort of bring awareness to in, our engagements with our customers and, through things like this, right? Is how to look at the data. Is like, what does the data mean? How do you infer that? What are some of the, like the signals, the metrics that you want to look at if you are looking to, pull somebody up out of like a volunteer or, a sort of more passive role into something more formal. And so we do that in our consulting engagements. We're talking to organizations about that all the time. But yeah, so the data is all there. If you set it up and you configure our software in such a way that you want to track that, and that's important to you, it can be done. And then we'll give you some of those like, signals and data points to look at that will say this person might be good for this, that, and another thing. Yeah.
And Emily, one of the things I love about the way that, sorry, sorry if I'm jumping in on you, there may be a little delay, but
I'm all in.
You're all in. I'm all in too. I'm all in too. One of the things that I love about the way we're framing this conversation is that if we're willing to step away from this question of who can be an ambassador to my board member is already, or board members are already ambassadors. My volunteers are already ambassadors. My table captains are already. The question is, if I have a way to measure their influence, like you were saying, Emily, I think it's a great word, and their advocacy based on their activity, I know who my best ambassadors are. So the question is, who are my best ambassadors? So I can put more chips on that number and not start with this question of like, I don't know where to begin. It's the way we framed it and have the tracking on each of those members and their functions. That is the magic. That's the difference.
And I want to just say one thing that might pull us away a little bit and we'll come back. But like every organization, it has a challenge of, because it's like nobody has cracked this nut, right? Is doing it perfectly because it's just too many. There's too many levers. But trying to figure out, well, what is the holistic donor journey supposed to be based on how the entry into the organization, right? And so, and a lot of times it's because like you don't even know. So if you're not using something to track all of the activity, how they came in, their indirect contribution. So if in an event I buy if I buy a table, it just says, like, if you're not using this, it'll just say Emily Newberry bought a table. Okay, that's good and great. We love that, right? Because she contributed $10,000, let's say, to our organization. But if you can also see that Emily Newberry bought a table and I influenced 3 other people to also buy tables, well, now my direct contribution is 10. My indirect contribution is an additional $30,000. You might treat me a little bit differently having had that information. Now I'm a $40,000 supporter, right? Versus a $10,000 somebody who bought a table because my company made me do this, to check the box on our, contributions for the year, right? Yeah. So it's very, very different. Every organization is like, well, how do I communicate with, and what is that donor journey, and how do I get them to convert into something else? A lot of that, they know what needs to happen. A lot of that frustration and challenge is in the data holes that exist because platforms are not providing the right information.
Yeah. Love that. A follow-up to that, Emily, would be, for someone listening that hasn't taken this ambassador approach, but they potentially have someone, and it doesn't have to be 10,000, but let's just use that number. It's an easy number, right? It could be 1,000. Maybe it's a small org. Maybe they just had their first, they're dipping their toes in the software water for the first time, for instance. What is the best, when you identify someone like that had that kind of influence? Because we have influential people that are gregarious and like, hey, I'm going, you should go too. You know what I mean? We can get in, like, once again, the personality and character of ambassadors and what have you, and what the perfect scenario looks like or what have you. What's the best way to engage? Of course I want to say, what's the best way to thank someone like that so they keep doing it? Like, what are you all advising? Like, what's the best practice? Or even like you saw someone do it and you're like, oh my gosh, that was amazing because it worked. Like, what's the best practice for someone listening on how to make sure that person is thanked properly for getting 3 more people to buy tables, and that they keep on doing it?
Yeah. So this goes even outside of ambassador fundraising, but I think when you have access to data that's showing you things in real time, then you could make moves in real time. And so one of my favorite stories is it's an organization who, after having used the One Cause product, said, before, I would finish the event and I would look at all of the, the data and see where we overperformed, where we underperformed. And then you kind of go through the steps of your post-event activities. You send out your thank you letters. You do all of the normal things that come with, wrapping up an event. Because of the data that we were able to provide, she spent, as a development director, thanking and stewarding those guests or participants on site at the event. Right. That what really wasn't happening before that, because, you're kind of getting thrown into all of these other things and you didn't have access to the information you needed to do that. But if you could see that, okay, Emily has bought, $10,000 table, she influenced the 3 others, like in the other example, and I can see now in real time that she made a donation to our fund a need. She won 3 silent auction items. The people that were attached to her and bought tickets because of her also did those things. I'm going up to her table, or I'm finding her, right, and I'm dedicating that time to do that in person. And then, of course, all of the other things would follow after that, but that on-site, that face-to-face connection and stewardship is really key. And we're providing organizations ways to carve out time to do that. And I love that. And then, of course, everything else would happen. So you would send out your normal thank yous. But I think that question, like post-event, depends on what the organization's goals and strategies are. If it's to formalize something, well, then it's like you take somebody who had, a lot of indirect and make them a formal table captain, right? If you want to take a program that is more passive and make that more formal into a competition, well, now you give them an actual role. Now you're competing, right? So you are one of the 15 champions that we have competing, for funds in advance of the event, for such winner to be announced the day of. So it really depends on what that is. But I cannot underscore enough the value of face-to-face connection. If you're going to go through all of the work of holding an event where you've got your supporters in a room, you've got captive audience, you should be spending that face time with them.
I love it. Steve, anything to add to that?
I'm just going to keep coming back to the fundamentals, that if we're reframing this as not a person, but all these people that are already right in front of us, we're going to thank those individuals differently. I'll give you a couple examples. Emily gave you the great example of a like a table captain, or maybe a liaison to a sponsor, where they have that immediate but also indirect influence. You're going to thank your board member differently, right? That's going to be done differently than you would your volunteers. But to be able to go up to a volunteer, imagine this, and know in real time that they had X, Y, or Z impact specifically, and to be able to thank them, what would that mean? What would that mean for the relationship and the drive for that volunteer and the output of your entire staff? Another one would be, and I'm glad, Emily, you mentioned this earlier, your ambassadors could also be in a more formal program. It could be a Dancing with the Stars kind of competition. It could be a full-on competition of champions, and I've got 3 or 6 or 9 or however many that are going at it, trying to what's going to motivate you, Trevor? You're going to have your name on a leaderboard. That's the way I'm thanking you in real time. And Emily just outpaced both of us. So I'm going to go at it a little bit more, and that's the way that if you tackle this as a holistic approach, and you have the software to do it and not make your life more difficult, it pays off in spades.
Big time. What do you think about these folks when they're ambassadors? They're bought in, obviously. Talk about, or just your opinions, thoughts, or what you maybe have even seen about, like, just having a conversation of, you keep alluding to the Dance with the Stars piece, or like, another, community type event that's really, really cool and highlights these ambassadors. What are some other creative ways that you've seen this work? And I'm a big fan of, like, okay, they're ambassadors. Maybe we don't know if we're going to do a Dancing with the Stars type competition or what have you, or something fun like that. And just opening up the table for conversation, you know what I mean? Or pardon me, open up the conversation in general to get some feedback from them on what might be another option, or what have you. Speak to that, if you don't mind, and what you've seen and what might work as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to think through, like, some specific examples, but We see a lot of it in like honoree or champion, like honoree fundraising too.
Yeah.
So if you don't have, like I said, like a specific, competition or formal program, a lot of organizations are already doing honoree fundraising. And so this is bringing a different element to that honoree of a type of event, right? We see a lot of that. And then I would also just say, we talked about it at the beginning, but it doesn't have to be this formal thing. It really can just be about tracking that influence, so that who is doing well and who you want back, right? So committee, everybody wants to be on boards, everybody wants to be on committees generally, but it's hard to find time to do the work that is expected of those. And so you've got to be pretty careful. I have worked with organizations over my years. I was with the Muscular Dystrophy Association and the Komen organization before that. And they were super specific in, if you're going to be part of this committee, you have to do X, Y, and Z. And sometimes there were fundraising activities and sometimes not. If it was a fundraising activity, you had to bring X number of dollars to the table or you didn't get that seat back. And so it could just be as simple, because the event was great and it was a great networking opportunity. So you've got to find the reasons that people want to come and want to participate. But a lot of it is just like having the data accessible to you allows organizations just to make better decisions overall. So it does, I've seen Trevor, I've seen an event called Kiss a Pig use ambassador fundraising. We've seen it all. There's so many different ways that you can leverage this type of fundraising, and organizations get super creative with it.
I think it's important to ask people. I think that's what my point was, Emily. Is like, that's exactly what we're looking for. Is like, you can color outside the lines. Sure, it could be a Kiss a Pig thing. What happens in a community in Alabama is going to be different than what happens in a community in Oregon.
100%.
I'm so invested in, once you have these ambassadors and people that are bought in, I call them raving fans, like in a general sense, like like from like a business perspective, it's like, if you have 1,000 raving fans, you can do well, you know what I mean, type of thing. So it could be 10 and that, but getting that feedback from, it's like, what do you want to see, right? You know what I mean? Like, what would make a difference to you, that kind of stuff. And so I think you can get nothing but gold out of that.
What motivates you? Super simple.
And opening up the conversation. Yeah. Steve, anything to add to that?
Well, I love that you just reminded me something with that comment, and it's something we would preach nonstop when we talk about peer-to-peer. And that is find ways to take what you love to do and spin it into an opportunity to fundraise. That's what any organization would say to people who come to the table and say, I raise my hand, I want to be in on this. I love the idea of being an advocate, an ambassador, if you will, via a peer-to-peer. But this is different. This is a little different, right? Because it's tied to an event, and we're not just looking at people coming out on their own volition. We're looking at established, smaller communities of board members and volunteers, and perhaps in these more competitive frameworks. But they are helping to make sure that one of the most important fundraising strategy gets the ball over the goal line. Events are incredibly important, and they're growing in importance. I don't care what's being said in the corners of the fundraising world about their too much lift and all that. Oh my gosh. I mean, you can monitor you know what your engagement is like, and you can drive engagement with events, and people who are going that extra mile to have that event, they are the ones. In fact, you were talking about the fundraising outlook report, Trevor, I believe. Some of our data that fed that report just showed that the majority of people who are meeting and or exceeding their fundraising goals are holding those events. So this event ambassador fundraising is just another way to say, hey, you're signing up for that event. Good for you. And we're all cheering you on at One Cause. Yeah. Here's a way to make sure that ball gets over the goal line.
That's so good.
What's so funny is we mentioned peer-to-peer, Steve, and I think you were kind of specifically talking about like DIY, and that you can find a way that you want to fundraise and then do it, right? So, I think organizations generally have gotten really creative and sort of opened up a lot of opportunity in their DIY programs. But when you think about traditional peer-to-peer, like run, walk, ride, your walks and things, you are taking groups of people right, that have a connection to the org, that want to do something, and you are giving them a way to fundraise on your behalf, right? And to leverage their personal and professional networks to collect donations in advance of the event to ensure that that event is successful and gets over the line. And so we've been doing this in peer-to-peer for forever.
Yeah.
And it really is just so simple. We're bringing sort of that concept and all of the success that we've seen there, and we're bringing it into the event space. Because you think about it, in event fundraising, you have a very finite amount of time to raise the money, right? So certainly you have tickets and you have sponsorships leading, in advance of the event. And there are targets on those, but then you get everybody in the room, and say it's a typical gala. And so it's 4 hours, and you've got your, you get your registration. It takes 30 minutes for that to happen. You get everybody into the cocktail hour where the silent auction is, right? And so they have a couple hours to do that. And then you have your live auction, your fund to need that's happening. You have a few hours to raise that money. And there's a lot at stake, right? And there's a lot of things that can go well and wrong to swing, right, that number in any one direction. And so a way to stabilize event fundraising revenue is to bring some of that out of, or to extend that timing and bring it in advance of the event. So instead of just hoping that you've got the right people in the room that are going to raise their hand at the right time to get you to that fundraising goal, make sure that you are doing the things in advance of the event with the people who care about your mission, so that it is easier and you're more likely to hit the target you set out for yourself.
So
let's stabilize it some.
Well done, Emily. I love that. That was good. Steve, anything to add?
It is good. I'm sitting back here going, man, I need to record that. That's exactly. I was thinking of like it's a ballast in the boat.
We are right now.
You are recording it. Yeah. Awesome. Send me the recording. But another aspect of this, and the importance of events, and like Emily was saying, just ensuring that when you do pull the play, that it's going to succeed. It's so important. And 2025 was a crazy year. I mean, we've done some of this research as well. And we noticed that nonprofits were telling us that 60% of them, Trevor, were impacted by some of the funding cuts, whether that's local, regional, legal, government, whatever it was. And so that's a big deal. And anybody's going to sit down at their table, at their staff table or their board table, and start asking the questions, how are we going to cover this? The number one answer that the research, we're talking like, what was it? 1,273 nonprofits, Emily, I think were in that study. The number one answer that nonprofits told us: events. Events are going to make up that delta by in 2026. So it's even more important that we keep using this metaphor. I'm gonna use it again. That we get that ball over the line, like 90%. 10, leaving it at for a field goal at 10 yards to go. It's not going to do it this year. We have a deficit we're working with. We got to make sure it counts, and this is an easy way to do it. It really is.
Yeah, those cuts weren't done with a scalpel; they were done with like a sledgehammer. People really, really hired. Yeah. We were just talking about that for future episodes and whatnot, and just continue having this conversation. Number one, I want to call to questions. Obviously, folks, when there's less questions in the chat, that means that there's fascination with the topic. So I want to do a call for questions. We have Steve and Emily here for like another 25 minutes, everybody. So a call to questions. We'll definitely get to them. But I want to ask a quick question of you all. I'm going to take not a hard turn, but a little bit of a turn into events and what have you. Specifically, we're big on recognition. I know you probably all are too, but I don't want to put words in your mouth. Big on recognition. We've had guests come on and like, okay, we recognize our legacy givers. We recognize our monthly givers. We do things like give them a different paddle. We'll speak to the efficacy of what the work that they're doing for the organization, night up, things like that. Give the audience some feedback on recognition for these ambassadors. And I'm not doing that to like create like FOMO and like, oh, they got a blingy, bracelet. I want to be an ambassador too. But I mean, that's definitely a byproduct of it as well. But talk to the audience about the best ways that you've seen to recognize these ambassadors, so we can obviously keep the ones we have and then grow that sphere of influence as well. Yeah, please.
Yeah. Well, I think if it's like kind of I have two answers. If the question is really like, hey, how do I make sure that I'm acknowledging the work that the ambassador did and its impact to the organization, then that just goes to, over communicate, right? And so this is something that nonprofits talk about a long time, and it's part of that communication journey that I was talking about too. But I would say just like over communicate. So the dollars that you raised had this impact on the organization. So we do a lot of that. I still talk like I work at an organization, but in our space,
you just get to work with a lot of them.
I work with a lot. Sometimes I feel like I'm part of their teams.
I get it.
But we, you like the recurring givers, so your monthly givers and your big annual donors, they are getting a lot of communication. They're getting the mailers, right? They're getting the year-end reports. They're getting a lot of things, right? Generally in the mail or by email, right? Acknowledging the dollars that they raised and the impact that had on the organization. We're kind of behind in doing that with event participants.
Okay.
Because we kind of think of them as like as a one and done. But really, if you're thinking about just event participants and ambassadors as part of that larger group, right? That is the entry point into your organization. And from there, you've got to really nail that conversion journey. So what is your hope for them? And then again, over communicate. So that's like a way to answer the question. I think maybe what you really meant though, I just wanted to say that.
No, it's good. Yeah.
If it's about like, how do we recognize and give them sort of the accolades, like the night of the event or, and so that people are like, that's a cool job. I want to do that. Like how did she get to do that? Right. We've made that really easy, like on our platform. And so when you think about, we did not invent ambassador fundraising. It's been happening, but we created a really great way to do it. And part of that is that you want to highlight who it is, what they're doing and how well they're doing it. Right. Because people like when they're doing well, they want people to know about it. And so there's a lot of different places on the event website when you create your ambassador campaign inside of One Cause to highlight that. We've got different leaderboards or scoreboards and things and different things in place there that really can highlight the work that they're doing. We always would recommend that there's a lot of on-site visibility to that. And that could be, from the, MC certainly. And we're talking about that. If that was a big part of the campaign and that's part of that story that you're telling on site at the event, but then there are different ways to use, leaderboards inside of the room. So if you're having that gala and you've got the big screens, to show video and messaging and things like that, you would want to utilize that to also show some leaderboard information or just highlight the work that those ambassadors did to get the organization to where they are today.
And those leaderboards obviously should be real time, right? So they're not necessarily just a big reveal type of leaderboard, although that's the beauty of having a highly configurable, highly flexible platform. You can do that, but you could also have them real time displayed on a totally separate video feed all night long. And guess what? Especially when people are giving to their champion of choice, that number is going up and up and up. And you know what that does to the spirit of an event. But one of the things I would love to see us be able to do, because, and Trevor, if I can, I'm going to dive into like features for just a second, but I think it's important to understand kind of where I'm going.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here. All right, here we go. So what we do, the reason this works so easily for a nonprofit is because in the background, the product does this. It takes the credit. See if this idea, it makes good sense. The credit from you, Trevor, and anyone connected to you that may have purchased a ticket. So we get all of the ticket information and that credit, that dollar amount, and we track that. But we also track sponsorships. Maybe you're a board member and your job was to go out and get $50,000 worth of sponsorships. Maybe you are a table captain and your job was to, get so many donations. Maybe this particular nonprofit has a lot of fun with raffles. I know raffles can get sticky one place of the country or the other or whatever, but let's just say that's your thing. We can track that too. And the key is we do it separately. So I would love to be able to see, I hope my product people are listening. I would love to be able to see individual, like who's our top ticket guy? Who's our top donation woman? Who is our top this? And all of a sudden I don't know about you guys. I'm getting kind of like hair standing off the back of my neck. I'm getting excited because we've taken stuff that just sits underneath our nose this whole time, like Emily said, and so rightly, we didn't create ambassador fundraising, just made it easy. And so if everything is tracked and it enables these ambassadors, whoever they are, to go out and do what they do best, and we sit back and we have a better event because of it, not just from fundraising standpoint, but from an engagement standpoint, I mean, all day long and twice on Sunday, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, the ease, the shareability is a piece, of course, right? I'm just throwing that out there in a general sense. I kept thinking, Steve, Emily, if you are as well, or like another app or something that you might be using personally, it's like, we keep saying donors are consumers at the end of the day, and they want to see these things. Like I've never had like a love-hate relationship with it. I've just gotten off of it because I've gotten off my phone. But like I use Strava because I ride my bike, I run, and my homies do the same thing, and I want to see what they're doing. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's just like, and I just see like some symmetry there. It's like, well, that's what we do in our real life. Why wouldn't we do that in our fundraising journey as well, right? Like speak to like anything that you might be using just to make it easy for folks just to understand like the shareability, seeing these things, why it's important as a human being to see what other folks that that are friends of yours, or what they're doing, and what donors are interested in, what causes they care about. Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Donors are consumers. We've never said that before, Emily, have we?
Donors are consumers.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I've given so many talks about donors are consumers. Consumers are donors.
Yeah, and that's why we shouldn't overthink. I've been saying that for a long time, but people, I've even had folks come on the pod and argue with me about it, and not, they weren't being chippy, but like it was like a good discourse, right?
Sure.
But the reason why I say things like that is there's a lot of different things to back that up. It's like the monthly giving piece. It's like a friend of ours, Dave Raley, wrote a book about the subscription economy. Well, that's what people do. Like they subscribe to things, like they have a gym membership. It's rare that they cancel it, but that's the corporate world. If you have subscription based giving in the fundraising, well, A, they're probably not going to leave you. B, you have another reason to reach out to them to stay in front of you. You just mentioned that a little while ago, Emily. You know what I mean? But like, why do we overthink it? You know what I mean? Donors are consumers at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Sorry. Yeah. Little soapbox there.
So we say that all the time, and there's a couple of points I want to make on it. And the first is like the Strava thing, is that it has to be there is a social component to this.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's what I'm getting. Exactly. That's what I'm.
Yeah, there's a social component. It's like, hey, we're participating in this thing, and I want to see what my buddy Trevor is doing and how's Steve doing. And so how do we make that accessible to all those that are participating? Whether it's a competition or not, it's just like, I just want to know, because it brings people together, right? And now you're doing something for the same cause, and because we can see and do it together, now it's a little bit more fun, right? Than if I was off on my own doing it and, had no visibility into what you're doing. So there's the social component for sure. But I would say the other thing is that donors just expect things to be easy. They need things to be easy, because everything right now, in the way that we utilize technology, like in the way that, I order my Starbucks, on the way to my daughter's school every morning, and then I can just boom, pick it up, in the way that I barely have to go into the grocery store anymore, because I do my pickup, I sit in my car, they bring it out. Like, airlines have made it super easy to get everything is, well, it's if you can adopt technology, everything is frictionless. And that, perfect. That is what donors expect. And so again, I'm going to go back to, we didn't invent ambassador fundraising. Organizations were doing this, but they were doing it in disparate programs. So they were doing, okay, we're doing our pre-event fundraising, and maybe we're doing it in our specific peer-to-peer solution, right? And so we've got our campaign running there, and then we're gonna use our event solution to do, to track things like tickets and auction and things like that. So now you've got it there. And then at some point in time, you've got to merge all of that data, generally when the stakes are high and there's a lot of room for error. And that's exactly what was happening. So it's easy. We've made it really frictionless for the organization. But that's one audience. But if you really want things to work, right, you've got to make it frictionless for the participants, those that are the ambassadors, and those that are giving to the ambassadors because they care about them, right? And so if you're working in disparate systems, if I'm an ambassador and I say, okay, hey, Steve, hey, Trevor, I'm doing this thing, I really want you to come. right? It's in a few months, like you guys would be perfect. Come with me, sit at my table, et cetera, et cetera. Here's where I want you to, buy your ticket. And then in a couple of months, I say, oh, the event is about to come, but I actually need you now to log in and register in this other thing. Forget the thing I already told you about that's in our text thread. Ignore that link. Now only pay attention to this one. I need you to re-register. I need you to put all of your information there. And don't worry, you're not going to get a bunch, it's all one organization, right? It's weird. It's weird. And it's just not what people want to experience. And so really thinking about the donor experience in all of this, because if you're going to hit revenue targets, then you need to make every stage of this process really easy and frictionless. And so that's really what we've done. This has been happening forever. It just was not done well.
Yeah. Boy, all those prompts you're talking about, I started getting like Charlie Brown's teacher, in my head. Like, no, I don't want to do that. No.
Right.
Hey, I want to get to a question that we got submitted, y'all. Awesome. That was really great, by the way. Thank you. From Trish A. Would an event ambassador be a better option than a professional auctioneer? That's an interesting question, Trish. I appreciate that. Kind of go ahead, Emily. I see your head nodding. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I would say they are completely different, and I would not put them in the same category at all.
Yeah. Could they live together and create some synergy? Sure, absolutely.
Absolutely, and they should. And they should. If you've got some charismatic ambassadors that want to get on stage with an auctioneer, please. Absolutely. Yes. An auctioneer serves a very specific and important role at an event. They are trained professionals, and they have specific goals and know how to hit them. We are big advocates that organizations that are doing any type of like on-site fundraising, either through a fund to need or a live auction, should absolutely hire a professional auctioneer. A lot of organizations will say, you know what, I think my local weatherman or my can do it, and it is not the same. So that is a specific role. Mm-hmm. An ambassador, right, is somebody who is advocating and fundraising on your behalf. So those are two separate things. So Trish, you should have both and all the boxes boxes there. But absolutely, if you've got an ambassador who, and likely in a perfect world, you've got several ambassadors that are contributing to this event. It's not a singular thing either. You've got a team, a squad, right? If there is opportunity to connect them with the auctioneer to create some magic on the stage during that window of opportunity, you should take it. You should vet it. And if it passes the test, then you should take that. But two separate things, in my opinion. Steve, anything to add?
Good.
No, I'm just sitting here and thinking, I'm putting myself in the seat of the nonprofits that's tuning in and like, this all sounds great. But like, check all the boxes. Like, that sounds a little overwhelming.
How do I do this?
How do I do this? And some more research. And forgive me, Trevor, I'm a numbers guy. I'm a data guy. I love data because my opinion isn't worth much, but like our research base is, like I said, over 1,200 nonprofits that have volunteered their perspectives on these things. And so we found out that of that segment, I think it was 11%. Yeah, 1 in 10 said, we're doing this well. 1 in 10. Okay, Steve, Emily, if this is as hot as you say it is, and only 10% are doing this well, we got an issue. We have a missed opportunity is what it is. Right. And 30%, I think it was roughly 1 in 3, said, we're not effective at this at all. We've tried, we're giving up, and so I get data like that in front of on my desk, Trevor, and I'm like, I'm so glad we get a chance to talk about this, because if something can be made easy for me in a strategy I'm already bought into event fundraising, and I can get more people talking and more people active and more people working on my behalf, and I have an easy way for the software to track all that for me, and to motivate and to nudge and all the things, that's where I want to speak to the 90%. And hopefully we are speaking to the 90% who are kind of like, I don't know, I think I'm getting out of this podcast, not really doing anything different. Yeah. Look into this, because there are easy ways to check all those boxes, like Emily said. if you have the right tools in place.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like support. It sounds like you're talking about offering these ambassadors support to making sure that they are successful. What are some way? I mean, like I think we talked about this. Did we talk about this off air? If we did, if we didn't, it was on, so be it. But, we were talking about constantly we get the feedback, oh, my board won't help me fundraise and this and that. And it's as opposed to like going, all right, fire your board, go get some new people. We're like, okay, are you giving them the tools they need and telling them exactly what they need to say, not speaking for them. They're their own people. A lot of times they're very magnanimous people. But I mean, we're talking about, not just creating ambassadors and identifying ambassadors, but making sure they're successful. We got 10 minutes left. Give folks some feedback on like some tools that they can use. I'm trying to create some symmetry there, right? With like helping your board be better at being a board, and helping you fundraise, and the symmetry between that and creating successful ambassadors and ambassador outcomes, and hopefully new ones as well. But talk about the tools, that the support tools.
Yeah.
Emily, I'm thinking about how many national, no, I was just going to say, I'm thinking about how many national organizations you talk with that are like, hey, we want to create a white glove experience. We're happy to do the work. What can we have to give them the tools to do it? That's kind of what Trevor's question is bringing up in my mind.
Here's your toolkit. Yeah.
Yeah. It really is. It is a toolkit that's designed, and curated by the organization. But I think the biggest thing is that organizations are not specific enough with their boards and committees. So in their asks, help us fundraise, that could mean a million different things. Help us do this, that, and the other. It's like, no, you need to go sell 2 tables. That's where we need to, that's the contribution we're looking for, right? Or we want an auction that has a fair market value of $100,000. Trevor, your contribution to that is $15,000 in fair market value. However you get that, go get that. And so a lot of times it's not that boards don't want to, it's that they don't know how to and what is actually being asked of them. So that's the first thing, is you've got to be really specific. Generally, your board members are working, right? So they are working members of the community. This is like a volunteer position that they're doing, in the fringe hours where they can squeeze it in, right? And so you gotta be mindful of that. And so be really specific and something that can be measured and that is a reasonable ask, right? So go get me $100,000, and I'm like, I don't know those people. Like I don't have that network. So be reasonable in your ask too. The other thing is then give them a toolkit. So here's some messaging pillars that you can use. Like, why are we doing this? How you can help me help the organization, and here's the impact that it's going to have. You don't want to talk for them. You don't want to give them a script per se, but you need to give them some talking points, some messaging pillars so that they stay within some guardrails, probably, right? And then give them technology to use. So a lot of people are like, well, I don't how do I even execute on something like that? Well, as an organization, if I've asked you to do those things, I'm going to go and I'm going to create your page. I'm gonna make it very simple. I'm going to grab your photo. I'm going to put a couple words in there for you that if you want to expand on that, awesome. If you don't, that's okay too, because I've got some default information in there about you, and then your page is launched, and all you have to do, right? And this would be like a bulleted email is share this out here, share this here, and you send out your links in email, in text message, and on social platforms that you belong to. So you got to make it easy. It's like a punch list, right? And so
I love it. Clear.
Clear.
Yep. Here you go. Succinct. Steve, what do you got, brother?
No, I'm just thinking that everything Emily said is absolutely fundamental. Then the tool actually helps facilitate that. So if I have my page that's created for me, I'm the kind of guy, I'm probably going to dress it up a little bit, but as Emily said, all I need to do is share that. And then if the messaging is built into the platform so that I, as an ambassador, whether I'm a board member, a volunteer, champion, whatever the case, if I can message immediately right back using that same tool, even better. If I can see my results in real time, even better. If I can see my results compared to the other ambassadors that are working alongside of me, perhaps in competition, perhaps not, even better. And then the people that we're working with, the supporters, the actual donors at the tail end of this, and really, if we kind of flip the script, really the ones that are driving this whole thing, we're just the means as ambassadors. They should be able to select the champion they want. Maybe it's me, maybe it's somebody else. They should be able to go through multiple different giving options, whether it's tickets or donations or auction activities. Maybe it's procuring an item, maybe it's buying a raffle ticket. So whatever it is, it really comes down, and Emily said it so well, it has to be easy. It has to be easy. Another thing that we've said in the past is, because of course we deal with events all the time, that's our bread and butter. Consumers don't take off their consumer hat just because they walk through your ballroom door.
Yeah.
And so
good.
As we think about events, not just at that moment where they do walk through the door, but before, during, and after, if we can create that environment or have technology to help that environment be created for us, so we're not doing a lot of extra work, right? It's a game changer. And we've had nonprofits tell us that exact word. In fact, I'm thinking of Layla Emily from Alzheimer's, Coastal Georgia. Those are the first words out of her mouth. It's a game changer.
Good feedback. I want to do a amazing. Yeah, good. Floored. I'm borderline floored right now. There's a lot going on in my head. We could probably do this for another hour. I want to do a last call for questions. Paula, thanks so much. It's good to see you, Paula, by the way. Happy New Year to you. She just started to get a peer-to-peer revenue giving directly, having that fan get together and investing in the company they work for to use the company matching. It helped out, but still strengthening that avenue to double the contribution. Awesome feedback. Yes, Paula, it is cool to highlight your fans that don't come to events as well. They work behind the scenes, make them shine. Absolutely. Becky was talking about having someone who's not a professional auctioneer on the stage, someone outgoing, but we saw, good to see you, Becky. We saw that last year with our fire chief who was on stage with the auctioneer when auctioning off the firefighter for a day item. It was great. Yes, it's exciting.
That's
it's
the best
fun.
when something like that happens.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I had Trish had that question about would an event ambassador be a better option than a professional auctioneer? And I think definitively we said, once again, you said it perfectly, Emily, they're completely disparate. You have an ambassador that's really has a lot of sizzle. I think have them do a sizzle reel for your event, or like how much fun it was, and you got to come to the next one and what have you. If you got someone I constantly use, I don't even know these people. It's crazy. There's this couple in my town that are real estate brokers, and they're awesome. They're all over like whatever. I'm not on TikTok, but they're all over like Instagram, TikTok, just owning it. I've had other like real estate people go to me like, oh, they got the lead or whatever because they're just great online and all that stuff. Well, they're great online because they wanted to be great online. But like I constantly am like using them as an example of like find those people in your community that are, for the better, the lack of a better term, like they're loud. You know what I mean? They're really good at what they do, and let them add the sizzle to your event. They can be ambassadors, for instance, because we were talking about like what would be a good, intro or a good fit. It doesn't always have to be the loudest folks, of course not. Right. But like those people are just like naturals at it. Why not, double down on their skill set, for instance, and really shine a light on your event. Hey, I wanted to ask you all a question in parting, because we are going to depart here in a second. Thank you so much. The invite's open for you all to come back. This is awesome, by the way.
Awesome.
I think we should keep talking about event ambassadors in the future as well. So thank you so much for taking the time, everybody, and thanks everybody for coming. Steve, I'm going to ask you a question, and Emily, I'm going to ask you a question as well. It's the same, or I'm going to ask you two different questions. Steve,
okay.
What is the most powerful fundraising tool that we have? In your opinion? There's no right or wrong answer, sir. It's not, I'm going to give you a hint. It's not the 8 ball. It's not the 8 ball.
It's not the 8 ball. It's not on there.
Powerful. I'm putting you both on the spot, but the most powerful fundraising tool.
Yeah, that's really good.
What do you think it is, in your opinion?
Oh man, oh man, this is going to sound so canned given our topic today, but I have been immersed in this for the last, I don't know, what's it been, Emily, like 6-8 months, probably 8-12 months. I have long-standing been a fan of social for getting the word out, leveraging networks, long-standing fan of peer-to-peer, and I am a long-time believer in tearing down the wall between what we have called in the past online fundraising and event fundraising. And so probably no surprise, Trevor, I think this is the biggest thing to hit. If we can make it easy, which I believe we have,
Yeah.
I think this is the biggest thing for this year. I think we need to get this message out. Yeah, seriously.
Good. Well, we are. Yeah. No,
yeah, we are.
I love it. Okay. Okay. Good. Hey, Emily, a different one for you. One that I used to ask all the time to every guest that we have on. Fundraising, it's an accepted premise that fundraising is hard.
Mhm.
So fundraising is hard. Don't make it more difficult by doing what?
I'm gonna say like I have to explain it.
Please, I want you to.
Getting in the weeds, and what I mean by that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come back to data, but in the way that good platforms should be giving you the most relevant data, right? Is that have access to data that allows you to do meaningful work, and not data that is bogging you down with busy work. And I think that that's what makes fundraising hard. When you have a good fundraiser, making the asks and getting out there and building your fundraising coalition or your events is not the hard part of the job at all. It is understanding and having access to things that tell you where you should be spending your time and how you should be spending it. Fundraisers don't get into this job because they're afraid to ask people for money. Like, they know that's what you're getting into. They're passionate about it. That is the job, right? But give me some tools that allow me to make it really easy because I've got access to data. So I know who to ask, when to ask, and what I'm asking. I would say that.
I love it. I love it. That was fun.
It was fun.
That was really fun. Yeah. Hey, we went long. I can't thank you both enough. We can't thank you, the community. Thank you both enough for taking the time. Like I said, I'm looking forward to the time that we can do it again. Sandy is going to reach out to the winner. The giveaway. Pardon me. Sorry to keep everybody so long. Robin Britt from Community Conscience in California. Hey, Robin. All right. Pacific time zone sister of mine. All right. Well, I'm the only one in the Pacific time zone, apparently. But hey, thank you so much. Congratulations, Robin. We'll be in touch with you. You won $1,000 in HGA bucks and a coaching session with my partner and co-founder, Jason Ledlow. Hey, you all rock. Thank you so much. I know you all are so
happy. Trevor, thank you.
Yeah, really awesome. And we're going to send out the recording to everybody. And we'll see you all. Oh, yeah, right on. Okay, good. Go Hawks. Oh, yeah. Karen, get out of here, Karen. Go Seahawks. I was going to ask everybody a favor to cheer for the Niner gang, but hey, y'all, y'all have a great afternoon. We'll see you all next Thursday. Thanks so much. Thanks for the kind words. Appreciate you. Good to see you, George. Good to see you, Becky. Thanks, Sandy, behind the scenes for producing such a lovely, lovely show. Appreciate you all. Thanks, Karen. I know you had to. And then we'll talk to you all soon. See you all next Thursday. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Emily.
All right. Thanks, Trevor.
Thank you so much.
Bye.